Hey guys, today we are going to be going over CVEs and CVSSs. And if you don't know what that is, you are about to know right now. Knowing kind of the concept of a CVE and CVSS scores is very beneficial as a red teamer and a blue teamer, so it's kind of like a purple team thing. So everyone should know it if you're in cybersecurity. If you're like a chef, you don't need to know this, but if you're in cybersecurity, no matter what team you're on, you do need to know this. Now, NIST defines a vulnerability as weakness in an information system, system security procedures, internal controls, or implementation that could be exploited or triggered by a threat source. And CVE defines a vulnerability as a weakness in the computational logic, e.g. code, found in software and hardware components that, when exploited, results in a negative impact to confidentiality, integrity, or availability. Mitigation of the vulnerabilities in this context typically involves coding changes, but could also include specification changes or even specification deprecations, e.g. removal of affected protocols or functionality in their entirety. And if you don't know what the CIA triad is, what are you doing? Like, that's extremely fundamental. Please learn the CIA triad. Please do not try and start hacking if you don't know the CIA triad. I am begging you. Please. Common sense, people, common sense. Okay, anyways.
Hello? Is this seat taken?
Sorry to interrupt your cyber education, but we have a sponsor today, which is Brilliant. Brilliant is a learning platform designed to be extremely uniquely effective. Their first principles approach helps you build an understanding from the ground up. Each lesson is filled with hands-on learning that lets you play with concepts and is proven to be 6 times more effective than standard lectures. All content on Brilliant is crafted by an award-winning team of teachers, researchers, and professionals from MIT, Caltech, Duke, Microsoft, Google, and more. Brilliant helps you build your critical thinking skills through problem solving, not memorizing. So while you're building real-world knowledge on specific topics, you'll also be becoming a better thinker. Learning a little every day is one of the most important things you can do, both for your personal and professional development. Brilliant helps you build real-world knowledge in just minutes a day, with fun lessons you can do whenever you have the time. The complete opposite of mindless scrolling. One of Brilliant's new features that I really like and that I am personally interested in is how LLMs work. How LLMs work is an immersive AI workshop that lets you experience and harness the mechanics of today's most advanced tools. Hands-on practice with real-world language models. As you explore how they build vocabulary, choose their next word, and more. Understand the importance of training data by comparing models trained on Taylor Swift lyrics to models trained on cookbooks or big text terms and conditions. Learn how to fine-tune an LLM to generate different kinds of output, whether it's poetry or a cover letter. To try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, there's a link. Also, link in description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. So, link is here. Link is also in description. Click the link. Click it. I know you want to. Back to learning about CVEs and CVSSs. CVE stands for Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures. And they are usually in a CVE database, which is kind of a glossary or library of all the vulnerabilities ever. So, big glossary. Very big glossary. So this is the database. NIST, if you don't know what NIST is, please don't start hacking either. Please learn that as well. Very important. Anyways, okay. NIST. So, at the sidebar here, general vulnerabilities, vulnerability metrics, products, developers, contact, other sites, search, etc. Blah, blah, blah. But if you go down here, you have last 20 scored vulnerability IDs and summaries at the making of this video. It'll be different whenever you're probably watching it. So you have CVE 2024, which is the year, and then 8399, which is the ID. So this one is websites could utilize JavaScript links to spoof URL addresses in the focus navigation bar. This vulnerability affects focus for iOS 130. So CVSS 3.x severity and vector strings, base score 4.7 medium. We have the vector, which I'm going to explain in a second because all of this is probably super confusing and lots of weird letters. So they have like the links to it, things like that. So like for example, okay, since I don't have a Bugzilla account, yeah, let's click on this one. Okay. CVE 2024-21171. Vulnerability in the MySQL Server product of Oracle MySQL, blah, blah, blah. Affected versions are 8.0.37 and prior and 8.4.0 and prior. Easily exploitable vulnerability allows low-privileged attacker with network access via multiple protocols to compromise MySQL Server. Complete DOS of MySQL Server. Yeah, pretty good vulnerability right here. So we have the CVE again, 2024, the year, 21171. That's the ID. Base score 6.5, medium, which I'll go over the scoring in a second. Vectors, yeah, network, low, low, none, unchanged, none, none, high, blah, blah, blah. Hyperlink. Let's see if this one will work. It will. A critical patch update is a collection of patches for multiple security vulnerabilities. Oh, I'm dumb. So yeah. Oh, here. Also, if you don't know the shortcut to find and highlight stuff, it is very useful. So learn that one too. Control F. That is kind of the explanation of CVEs. They are just vulnerabilities organized by year and ID number. There's also exploitDB, which doesn't necessarily list vulnerabilities like explained. It has a library of actual exploits. So this is exploitDB, exploit database, full words. So like, for example, Windows TCP IP RCE checker and denial of service. Download, view raw, all this code, exploit title, Windows IPv6 CVE, 2024-3806 checker and denial of service. Oh wait, so what's that vulnerability? This is when CVEs come to play. Critical. Attack vector network, attack complexity low. Okay, they have the list of security updates. Verifying vulnerability against IPv6 address. Yes, is vulnerable and exploitable. Continue to execute denial of service BSOD. All packets are sent. Now it takes exactly 60 seconds for the target to crash. Okay, cool. Let's see what else. Based on CVE 2024-4577. Okay, in PHP versions 8.1 before all those numbers, I'm not reading them. When using Apache and PHP CGI on Windows, if the system is set up to use certain code pages, Windows may run best fit behavior to replace characters in command line given to Win32 API functions. PHP CGI module may misinterpret those characters as PHP options, which may allow a malicious user to pass options to PHP binary being run, and thus reveal the source code of scripts, run arbitrary PHP code on the server, etc. 9.8 critical. No shit. Oh, it's on Metasploit. I'm like going off on a tangent right now. Sorry, guys. I just find all this stuff interesting. When was this posted? June. Okay, sorry about the tangent. But you can kind of see how CVEs are very important through that tangent. Okay, onward to CVSS, which stands for Common Vulnerability Scoring System. CVSS, you kind of score a vulnerability quantitatively. CVSS scores are typically used to help organizations prioritize vulnerabilities, which ones they need to patch sooner than later, things like that. It's a scoring system. It's kind of like 0 through 10, 10 being like super critical, like get your ass like patching right now. 0 is like you can wait. Or sorry, not a 0, 0.1. 0.1. The lowest of the low. So it kind of goes from 0 to 10, more like 0.1 through 10, if we're being for real. Chart somewhere here so you can kind of get a visual. So right now, technically, we are on 4.0, but as you can see right here, everything is using 3.1. So technically, we're on 4. We're going to 3.1. So we have base score metrics, exploitability metrics, impact metrics, temporal score metrics, exploit code maturity, remediation level, report confidence, environmental score metrics, exploitability metrics, impact metrics. So exploitability metrics kind of refers to how easy something is to be exploited. The impact metrics consider the consequences of a successful exploitation. Then we have temporal score metrics, which are characteristics of a vulnerability which may change over time. Yeah, that's pretty much that. Temporal, temporary, kind of how you remember it. And environmental score metrics are characteristics of a vulnerability that are specific to a user's environment. So like specifics to your environment, pretty much. Exploitability metrics, attack vector, AV, network, self-explanatory, the network layer, adjacent network, local access, yeah, physically touch or manipulate, attack complexity, low, high, invest a measurable amount of effort in preparation or execution, privileges required, none, low, high, unauthorized prior to attack, low, the attacker is authorized with privileges that provide basic user capabilities. High, the attacker is authorized with privileges that provide significant control over the vulnerable component. User interaction, the vulnerable system can be exploited without interaction from any user. Required, yeah. Scope, unchanged, changed. An exploited vulnerability can affect resources beyond the authorization privileges. And in 4.0, scope has actually been removed. But it seems like no recent one is going by 4.0. So, exploit code maturity and proven that exploit exists, proof of concept code, report confidence, attack complexity, privileges required, CIA triad, told you. So, for me personally, to get my CVE news of the day, it's CISA or CISA or however you pronounce it, CISA.gov. And in my job, we get emails and we have an RSS feed in Slack, so that's kind of how I get my news for the day, specifically for work. CVE 24.38226, Microsoft vulnerability. What's new? Click. Score 7.3. Severity high because of the chart, the numbers. Version 3.1. We're not going with 4. CVSS. Can you guess what this is? Like Dora. Yeah. Attack vector local. And if you need a little reminder, you can just hop back over. Attack vector local. Let's see. Attack complexity, low, L, low. Privileges required, low, low. User interaction. What do we think? What do we think? Required. Attacker to bypass Office macro policies used to block untrusted or malicious files. Another Microsoft vulnerability. Allows for remote code execution. Microsoft installer and proper privilege management vulnerability. Microsoft Windows mark of the web protection mechanism failure vulnerability. Okay, yeah, so that's pretty much it. CVE, exploits, vulnerabilities. CVSS is the scoring of those exploits and vulnerabilities. So, yeah. Hope you guys got something out of that. It's very beneficial to know from a purple team perspective, which is all of cybersecurity. Please learn the CIA triad if you have not. Make sure to like, subscribe, punch that subscribe button, like button, notification bell, whatever people say. And I will see you in the next video.